Hey, I'm Geordie, host of the Data to Deals podcast, helping brokers get more from their listings and closing more deals. Each episode dives into what's actually working right now, making your listings stand out more, to building a standout broker brand, to using AI and smarter tools to grow your business. If you're a broker looking to elevate your game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Data to Deals podcast.
The funny part is I get this not just from brokers, but I get it from some of my developer friends as well who think it's like judgment day for them. And I say you shouldn't be afraid of AI, but you should embrace it. What's actually going to replace you is other brokers who are utilizing this and you refusing not to use it.
Hi, this is Geordie from the Data to Deals podcast here with Eric Vogel. Eric is our Chief Product Officer at Duxree. How are you today, Eric?
Yeah, great to be here. Good to be with you, Geordie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm super excited to go into some AI with you because from my perspective, I think you have a lot of experience in, first of all, in building products, but also in using AI. So this show is going to be really dedicated to AI in the CRE space. But first, why don't we start with a short intro and your background, just so people can kind of understand what perspective you're coming from.
Yeah, no worries at all. And I think, yeah, AI is kind of avoidable right now, right? It's the hot topic that everybody's talking about at the moment.
Exactly.
Everyone wants to get involved. My background, so serial entrepreneur, had a few fintech, Web3 startups in the past, did a lot of programming work, worked in the defense and aerospace, and now found myself over at Duxree leading the SaaS and development over here. So been in IT and tech for probably about 15, 16 years now.
Great, and we're sure glad to have you. So let's start the conversation now with like where does someone start? Like there's so many tools out there. I'm a CRE broker. Let's say, like I'm kind of not like a big tech guy. Like what's easy? Where can I start?
It really depends on kind of where you came into it or who introduced you to it. Probably the first one a lot of people come across is ChatGPT or Gemini. Obviously, Claude's becoming a lot more popular as well. I think a thing a lot of people don't look at is you don't need to be technical to use these tools. These tools are used to be conversational. So you don't need to have really any background in programming or development. There's loads of YouTube videos out there that you could watch to understand or do comparisons between the best tools. Obviously, a lot of people are promoting or using affiliate links. So you probably want to be careful about that and following those links blindly to get a recommended tool. I started with ChatGPT about I think 3 years ago, something like that, when it was first out there. It was really annoying because obviously it had a lot of limitations when it first
Hmm.
came, but it's been pretty easy to engage with, and that's how I kind of went down this AI path to exploring what it could possibly do for me as well. And
Okay,
I started exploring other.
so you mentioned a bunch of them. It was really fast. And you mentioned Claude. A lot of people may not know what that means. Like, what's Claude is Anthropic's tool, right? So people probably heard about the IPO. Anthropic is coming. It's going to be huge. But just kind of break us down, like some of the tools that you mentioned, so people can, like if they're listening, they can kind of go check them out right now.
Yeah, no worries at all. So ChatGPT is probably one that most people have heard of. I think it was one of the early ones early on,
Open
right?
AI, right?
The OpenAI, so ChatGPT being the tool. I always kind of say it was probably most people's starting point into AI, depending on when you got involved or when you were looking at it. Really good for like general writing, emails, doing some marketing, brainstorming. It's free to start as well, like a lot of the platforms. So you can get in there, you can play around with it before you have to put any money up to see if it's good for you. And a paid version starts at just $20 a month for an individual. Then they have business plans that range
So
depending on you.
20, yeah. So it's just like, and the time that you're going to save and that, like it's just amazing, right?
The way I put it with any of these tools, even if you're saving yourself 5 or 10 minutes a day in your tasks, and theoretically it's probably going to be a lot more, think of all the time you're getting back and what the opportunity cost is of that time saved. It's
Yeah, yeah,
money.
yeah.
Like,
Okay, so someone's new to AI, and but they're interested in kind of checking it out from a perspective of like being a CR, is like a commercial real estate broker. Like, what's some tasks that they could use and the tools, and how would you do it?
Yeah, so it just depends on what you're looking to do. If you're reviewing contracts or lengthy legal documents, the one thing that you just need to be weary of with some of these tools is the limits, right? When you upload and you have a conversation, there's token limits or character limits. So if you're putting like a big 50, 60 page contract, you might have to break that up. Although I found using Claude, so Anthropic's AI is really good for processing these bigger documents because it also bundles a conversation down and can continue. So it's good to review that and give advice. I know a lot of people and even some of my own friends use it as kind of a legal advisor, but I wouldn't necessarily just trust an AI's legal opinion. I would still probably consult with a lawyer. So I still think you
Right.
need some human intervention in there as well, to a degree, because that's the last thing you want to do is just take it blindly from AI without consulting, especially on a larger contract.
Mm-hmm.
Drafting emails. So ChatGPT is great for that. Like, if, for instance, you can go into ChatGPT, you can send a quick brief like, "Hey, draft me an email for an LOI that I need to send over to XYZ contact." Give it some context, put it together, and it will create a draft for you, which you can then copy and paste and put into your email client. Or Claude can actually connect into Gmail and other email platforms as well. So you could draft in Claude and even have it send for you if you're happy with the draft. So it acts as like a really nice assistant as well. For those that are in the Microsoft suite, so I know a lot of CRE brokers might be in the Teams or Microsoft suite.
Yeah.
Copilot may be your go-to because it integrates real nicely with Office, Word, Excel, and Outlook. So I know a lot of folks use an Outlook, even though I personally hate Outlook. But that will allow you to draft and work with your emails in there and contracts, LOIs, or offering memorandums. And then Gemini is also another good one that you can look at. So all of these have different pros and cons. It just depends what you're trying to do. If you're looking for day to day, like business tasks, refining a list, putting emails together, etc., any of them are going to work for you. I'd still
Mm-hmm.
really go to Claude in my personal preference for documents and like lengthier contracts.
You mentioned connecting Claude. That sounds like pretty technical. How easy are these tools to use, like outside of just copy paste on the web? Like, talk me through some of your workflows that you use it for, and how
Yeah.
our brokers might be able to translate that over to their day to day work.
Yeah, not a problem. So the number one way that I use these tools is they are conversational, right? For almost any of them. And the best part is if you don't know how to use it, you can actually just ask the tool like, "Hey, can I do this with you?" Or "How would I do this process or flow? Can I upload a document? Can you help me do this?" And it will then send you a list of instructions of step by step what you need to do. And then it will show you exactly how you can integrate and set it up. Also in settings, so a lot of them have third-party API integrations. So for instance, in Claude, if you go under your connectors, you'll have settings, you'll see a whole list of third-party applications that they integrate with, and you can click on those tools. And within that connector setting, it will even tell you what it can do with those other tools. Can't do everything, but it will list like this is what I'm able to do, or this is what I'm not able to do with that particular tool.
Okay, and give me an example of like a workflow that you've created that has just like kind of blown your mind, like how much saving in time or productivity that you've been able to achieve using any one of the tools.
Yeah, so any of these tools, probably the big one is we all have a lot of meetings, especially in the commercial real estate space, right? You're meeting clients, you're talking to mortgage brokers, you're talking to other people. You need to obviously have all those notes so you can then close your deal. You don't want to be
Hmm.
going through and reviewing a bunch of handwritten notes, right? So I use Fireflies AI. There's all these transcription tools out there. Just one that I really fell in love with because it also records my screen. So I do a lot of
Yeah.
screen sharing and demos with our development team as well. And then what I'll do is I'll take those transcriptions and I'll put them into any of these tools. It'll work with any of them. I'll upload Fireflies, put the notes in. I'll ask it to summarize. I can have it auto draft an email. I can even help it like list out and create tasks that I need to brief my development team on to carry out. And it saves me hours. I'm able to do probably weeks worth of work in a matter of a couple of hours
Yeah.
doing it. And also saves me time. So when I'm in meetings, the most important part about that is connecting with the people you're talking to, right? You don't want to
Hmm.
be sitting there jotting down a bunch of notes and looking at your notebook. It's just having a more fluid conversation like we're having now. And then those
Yeah.
notes be transcribed later on.
Yeah, Fireflies. So, of course, there's other. Google's got one if you have
Yep.
like a Gmail account. The other way I use Fireflies, which is hugely valuable and I think translates well to the CRE space, is getting transcriptions of your teammates. So, let's say like you're junior, but you're a senior broker, and you have maybe five guys out in the field doing, like having meetings, or you can get like a short. Um, like revision or summary of each of those meetings, and you can just kind of like cruise through that in 5 minutes, and you're not having to chase down like, hey, what was going on with that prospect or this client, or whatever, it was some kind of a meeting with a municipality or something like that. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Well, and then
Yeah, so,
especially for distributed or global teams, right? If you're using Teams or Slack or other chat applications, being able to connect into those and then pull the conversation so it can just give you a download. I know Slack has like a built-in AI as well, but
yeah,
getting a whole summary, because I know people can get lost in all the conversations and things that are happening. The way I look at it is AI is really good at research, writing, analysis, stuff like that. Thankfully, at the moment, it's probably terrible at relationships and negotiations. You can
yeah.
use it to kind of go back and forth and get some insight, but I think that's where all of us still need to step in and do what we do best in building and maintaining these relationships, which allows, from a CRE's point of view, it allows you to be a great broker and maintain and grow those relationships and let AI handle the busy work and the
Yeah,
paperwork. And
exactly.
so you
I
can
think I
focus.
think the perfect example of using AI is to say, when you mentioned the legal, like the legal example. So if you need to run it by something by counsel or something, what I find and what I use there is that I it cuts down the amount of time that the advisor has to send. So I go in much more educated, and then I clarify the finer details. So, like, even if you can save like 4 or 5 hours of your legal advisor's time, that's a big savings, if the guy's charging 500, 700 an hour or something.
Oh,
So
definitely. Yeah, I
yeah,
do that all the time with contracts and stuff as well.
like you said, you still need that human input, but it helps you cut down. Um, what about what our take is? We are building AI for our CRE brokers. Can you tell me about like some of the tools that we are building and the direction? Let's kind of segue into what we're doing with AI.
Yeah, no worries. So at the moment, basically everything I just described, it kind of goes into like the research, the prep, the analysis. All of this is obviously doable with these other tools. But the one thing that we wanted to do on our side is we're looking at what exists, what's out there, what can we leverage to build a better tool so you're not having to jump around between so many different LLMs and subscribe to all these different things. We're trying to make it an intelligent like broker partner. So think of Dash, the thing that we're building here at Duxree, as your intelligent broker, and you're able to engage with it to go directly into your workflow. So you can do your pre-meeting research, your negotiations, find investors, get information on property, look up contracts, help with the legal docs, etc. So it just works 24/7 for you in the background to help you facilitate your deals.
Okay, so you mentioned the word dash. For our users that aren't familiar with that term, kind of give me like what's high level, like what is Dash's biggest benefits that you see happening?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit with anything, whether it's Dash or any of the AI, is going to be time savings and the value you're getting back there. Just saving you hours of time, research, matching people. Like, again, all this stuff comes together. You might spend weeks or have a whole admin team doing all this stuff for you. If someone drops the ball or someone calls out sick and can't do it, you might fall behind on a deal. Dash is going to be your partner in the background that can process all this stuff so you can make sure your transactions and deals are going through.
So you mentioned Dash, and in context, there's other tools that they can use. What's going to make Dash different than, say, using some of the other tools we were talking about earlier in the show?
Yes, not a problem. It's a great question. I think the first thing is the other tools don't know your contacts, your deals, the behavioral data on your listings, where we do, right? Because that's what we built our platform to process all that information. So it just makes it simple. So you don't have to go and train all these other tools on all these things and keep feeding the data consistently in order for it to learn and get smart. Where our tool's learning about you as you engage with it without you having to train and feed it, because we're doing that for you. So it just makes it simple. There's one thing like Sean, who's our CEO, says all the time: there's beauty in simplicity. We don't
Hmm.
want you to have to. You can, by all means, go and start using all these other tools. We're trying to simplify that process for you and bring it all under one place. That's geared specifically towards CRE
And it
industries.
sounds like for specifically for your brokerage or your
Correct.
business, right? Um, do you envision like a workflow where the brokers are using Dash and also using these other tools? Like, how can you use them in combo to make a really powerful sort of workflow work together?
Oh, 100%. And I even do that myself when I'm doing stuff, obviously over here, what we're doing at Duxree and then the general stuff. I still use other AI, whether I'm jumping into code, I'll switch over to Claude Code, which is the coding aspect of Claude's AI, and use that to go through it. I wouldn't use Dash to do that, for example. Or
Yeah.
if I need to do a longer document or preparation, like if I'm briefing the sales or product team, I'll use Claude for the documentation, or ChatGPT for general stuff, and also even Gemini. So even when we're building things or looking at it, I might use other AIs to give me ideas or inspiration, kind of put them off one another to
Hmm.
bounce the information around. It's like getting a second opinion, right? So by all means, I think you still can engage with the other tools as well.
What would you say to brokers that were like, "Oh, I don't want to use AI because I feel like it's a threat, and I may like kind of it may replace me as like as being necessary." What's your sort of answer to that?
It's a great question. It's the funny part is I get this not just from brokers, but I get it from some of my developer friends as well, who think it's like judgment day for them. And I say you shouldn't be afraid of AI, but you should embrace it. What's actually going to replace you is other brokers who are utilizing this and you refusing not to use it, right? Because they're going to be able to get so much more done in a faster time frame, close more deals, and do more things, whether you like to use it or not. If you put it to the side and don't learn and engage, unfortunately, you're going to get left behind, because this is a train that we're going down this path. And unfortunately, there's no turning point.
Yeah, I think that's right. So essentially, like embrace it, or maybe you will be, sort of replaced not by AI, but by someone that knows how to use
Yeah.
AI. So,
Well, and I
so
guess you have a good point there, though, because the other thing is there's a lot of proprietary data, right? That's one of the things that I understand from brokers and even other folks that I talk to, that people are scared. I don't want to connect this. I don't want to upload this. Where's that
yeah.
data going? Who's handling that? That's another thing that we're doing differently with the way we're setting up the tenants and the backend. So, for instance, if you were to work with us with your data over another open model, we're protecting that, right? You have guarantee that that data, if you don't want that to be accessed by the wider bits of our system, there's options for that. So we know that we're not able to process it outside of your tenant. Where unfortunately some of the others might tell you you can't. And look at some of the ads in some of the popular free email platforms, for example. They seem to know you a bit too well, right? So that
Yeah,
data
that's right.
goes
You
somewhere.
mentioned the word tenant. Can you just kind of further elaborate on that for some people that maybe aren't technical or know what that
Yeah,
means?
very simple sense, like a database that's separated for your business. So all of your data and stuff is on your own instance,
Hmm.
effectively. Hmm.
What's the level that you can do that? Like, let's say if I'm using, let's say I've got like 10 people in my brokerage, and um, can I protect that even like down to the level like where it's just my data, or can other team members see my data? Like, let's get into this sort of data privacy, because this is a big deal and big concern for a lot of people using AI.
Yeah, it's a huge deal for a lot of people. And you can. So there's a lot, we can set it down to the individual. We can set it down by region, by office, by person, by groups. You can have teams and groups of people that should share data. And whoever is initially uploading or providing that data will have the ability to set who they share it with, right? So
Okay.
whether it's people on their team or other offices or the whole group, for example, as well.
Okay, that sounds great, and we should mention that that's true with the big LLMs as well, right?
Correct. So
For a lot of things.
some of them will have it, and you'll see when you're using those. bigger LLMs as well. It will tell you like if it's private or public and shared, and you can do your individual chats with them, or you can have group chats with
Hmm.
them as well. I just know some people, at least in my dev colleague space, are a bit skeptical of the bigger players.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
How about some mistakes that you see people, not necessarily CRE, but the CRE space in general, but mistakes that people make using AI?
I think the biggest mistake is that a lot of people think it's just going to magically do everything for them, and the way I say it is a tool is only as good as the operator, right? So you have to learn and make it better. Even when I first started and I'd prompt, ChatGPT or Gemini or any of them, I learned that the better I prompt it and the more I engage with it or give feedback to you, the better it's going to be, right? Can't read our minds as much as we would hope that
Yeah,
it could. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting that misconception, that thinking that, oh, any of these AIs are going to be able to do everything for me, or they're going to be able to predict the lottery numbers, stuff like that.
yeah.
That doesn't work. And then also understanding it can hallucinate. And one of the
Hmm.
things that a lot of these LLMs, it doesn't matter which one, they're all getting better and better, but it takes time and they're improving with each iteration. But it can hallucinate. And some of them have even been trained to, as you engage with it, if you prompt it incorrectly, it's going to
Hmm.
start responding to you as if you're correct, even if you're not correct in some cases. See, that's why you don't ever want to just take everything blindly.
Yeah.
So
Not
think of it as
not blindly copy and paste, and you get what we call internally is AI slop, which is you just get a ton of stuff that looks good but is completely erroneous, and it's not useful.
yeah.
Um, I want to mention something that I do quite often because you mentioned like you mentioned the term prompt, and there's terms like prompt engineering, and people are like, well, I don't know how to do that. One of the biggest things that I do is like, because it's conversational, you just chat with it and it says, I don't really know how to say this prompt. Write me the right prompt. And then it will do exactly, write you a brilliant prompt. And so that's one of the big hacks that I use a lot. So people listening, if they're maybe intimidated by the word prompt and what does that mean, and prompt engineering, just type it in. It's like, tell me how I should be writing this, and it will spit something back to you that's very useful, and because it's only as good as the prompt that you give it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, and then based on a lot of them now going out to web and searching for things, so what's out there, but then you also want to make sure you're getting the sources and information, right? So and not just pulling from like a Wikipedia page that anybody could edit
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sources is really big. Tell me about where you see AI headed for commercial real estate in the next sort of 2 to 3 years. What's your sort of predictions or vision for AI?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very complementary, and I think a lot of brokers are going to start to use it to remove a lot of the admin work, reviewing contracts, matchmaking, so finding potential investors and deals. I mean, there's so many investors and websites out there that have their thesis, they have what they're looking for. There's news articles about deals that have been completed. Instead of having to spend hours and hours scoring the internet and calling contacts and looking for it, having AI serve you in real time. Hey, these people just bought property over here. They're looking for deals here, and help with that whole kind of matchmaking process, I think will be a very big thing. And then allowing brokers to be free from the busy work. I think that will become, I don't even think that's limited to just brokers. I think busy work in general and
Yeah,
emails and conversations and all that is going to be really streamlined by AI across the board. My longer
yeah,
term vision is I don't think we'll have to engage with interfaces anymore. I always use the example you started, text message BlackBerry, that was innovative and cool. Then came the iPhone with the touch screen. Then we went to laptops. Now we kind of have VR and all this, meta glasses and stuff like that. Soon, I think AI will handle all the stuff in the background, and the information will just be served to you. There'll be no need to engage with a
yeah.
complex interface.
Yeah, you mentioned something that is really important for, say, like a proprietary AI like Dash, because I say proprietary because we're developing it, and your data is protected, but lead matchmaking, which is massive, right? So I have one small anecdote where our founder, Sean, was using Dash, and granted, it's in its early stages right now for this specific thing. But I mean, this is huge in the CRE space. But he said find me a lead that matches this property. And because he had a data, like all his data, Dash went in through and found him like, like this person who's like, oh my God, this is like a perfect developer.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. This is where something like where AI can really outperform a human, because let's say you've got a list of 1,000 leads. There's no way you could remember everything. And then once the AI showed him this lead, he was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. I know this guy well. I should have known that. But, and he went, and that one instance, this lead, I don't remember if he closed a deal with this person, but that lead could be potentially worth like tens of thousands of dollars from a tool that maybe costs like a couple hundred or something, So the return is just like, just so high and these are something that the LLMs can't do, right? I mean, Gemini can't tell you that because it doesn't have access to your data. So that's what I see the powerful sort of instance of a proprietary, private, knows your data. And that's the power of where I see AI going into. And it's really exciting. I'm really excited for this time.
Oh, it's going to be massive. And I think that's the
Yeah.
big thing is there's so much data, not just CRE, but a lot of businesses or individuals sit on, and they're not getting the most out of it. Like data is super valuable. The AI can process that in a matter of minutes or hours, right? Thousands and thousands of records and look at all this stuff and analyze past performance, best leads, et cetera. And it can even start applying factors and ratings, which is all this stuff that we're working on as well. Now, that said, you could very well be transparent. You could upload that data to any of the other LLMs and train it, but then you just got to spend the time.
Yeah, but who wants to do that, right? If somebody can do this for you, I'm a broker, right? And I'm just like, I'm out. I want to be on the golf course closing deals. I don't want to be like messing around, learning how to do. If somebody can do this, that's what I want, So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're getting close to the end of our time. Really appreciate your time. You have any closing thoughts for any brokers that might be really interested in this? Like, where can they get started? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the big thing is look at it. Again, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Loads of videos out there on YouTube, loads of articles about how to use it. Pick a tool and try it out. Most of them they'll have a free plan for you to at least play with it for a couple of weeks, see what you think. If it's not for you, I wouldn't jump around between all of them if you're just starting. I'd pick one, play with it for a bit, see what you think, and then move on. Don't be so quick to judge it and say, oh, it's not for you until you really kind of play with it a little bit more. And the brokers who are winning are the ones who are experimenting with this stuff and figuring it out and trying to be ahead of what's coming, right? And that's what we're trying to help folks do as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's really, really smart. And the ones, just personal preference, Gemini is huge. That Gemini is one of my go-tos just because it's got access to Google, right?
Yeah.
So like, even for local, it's great. ChatGPT is a standard. These are both free. And then YouTube is your friend. And if you don't know how to do something or ask, go into Gemini. I've never used it. How do I use this? And Gemini will tell you the best ways to use it. So I think that's great advice. Really nice catching up with you, Eric. It's always a pleasure. So much wisdom coming from product and software experience. Really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. I appreciate yours as well. And for anyone listening, as we're building out, we're always looking for beta testers. It's free to join and
early adapters
train with us. So we love feedback. And I think the thing we want to do is co-create it with others, right? We can only anticipate what we think users want. We'd love to hear everyone's feedback and build things that work for you.
Yeah, that's great. And anyone that's interested, Duxree, DUXRE.com. That's where you can find out more about Eric and the Dash that we're building, and reach out anytime. We're here.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Hey, I'm Geordie, host of the Data to Deals podcast, helping brokers get more from their listings and closing more deals. Each episode dives into what's actually working right now, making your listings stand out more, to building a standout broker brand, to using AI and smarter tools to grow your business. If you're a broker looking to elevate your game, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Data to Deals podcast.